everyone, welcome back. I have a book that I really want to talk about because not only was it just a good read, but it was also something that I have not really ever thought about or been exposed to in quite this context before. And so I figured it might be a nice thing to share for other people who have not been exposed to or thought about this kind of thing either. So the book I have is While the Earth Sleeps, We Travel. And basically what it is, you can see there's this little subtitle here, Stories, Poetry, and Art from Young Refugees Around the World. And it's just such a beautiful thought, and I'm glad that these particular refugees were given this chance. But like in the foreword and stuff, it talks about how as a refugee, you're like misplaced in things and all of that, but that doesn't mean, especially as like a young person, you don't still want to do the things that help you to cope, like art and poetry and that kind of thing. But then as a refugee, obviously it's a lot harder to have those kind of opportunities, especially if you're living like in a refugee camp. They just don't have a lot of resources a lot of the time and that kind of thing. So that's kind of like the inspiration behind this book. I believe he is an author of some of the poetry in it, but also he like gathered together all of the ones from the young refugees and stuff. I believe he was also at one point a refugee, and that's part of why he wanted to do this, to help other refugees and that kind of thing. There's also a foreword by Ben Stiller, which was kind of fun. He talked about meeting Ahmed and how that interaction went. Ahmed also has a foundation. I forget exactly what it's called. Oh, he founded Naratio, which is an organization that activates, supports, and highlights creative expression for displaced young people. So, like, that is, like, his whole mission, and then this book is, like, a collaboration within that to do that. So, as I said, just overall, really cool concept. I'm really glad that I picked this up and got to get kind of that exposure to this thing that, again, I'd never really thought about that. Yeah, like as a refugee, even if you want to pursue art, how do you pursue art? Because your opportunities are going to be so limited and it's going to be so difficult. So I like that this is a way to get them working on art and being able to share art in some format. So yeah, this was great. And some of it's poetry, some of it's pictures. These were some of my favorite pictures. I just wanted to highlight these. It was just really, really beautiful photographs in general, but these ones in particular I thought were really interesting because they reminded me a lot of where I come from, and it's like, look at this place that looks like where I live, but it's a place that I've never actually been to, and feeling that kind of connection over it was really cool too. And yeah, so my thought like with that was like, look at these places that look just like my home, but that I'm never gonna be. It was really cool. I liked these ones a lot. There are some that are not photographs too. There are some that are more just like drawings and stuff. Some of the stuff in here is not like super specifically art either, because it's not like a poetry or a poem. It's not a picture or a drawing, but he did like interviews with some of them and got them to talk about their lives, and hearing their stories that way was really cool too. I did have one of Ahmed's poems in particular that I wanted to share from here, because as I said, his are dispersed throughout this as well. I'll get this like nice yellow on it so you can distinguish them easily if that matters to you at all, and like if you were looking specifically for his or something. But yeah, so the one that I wanted to read is called Do Not. Do not define us by our tragedy, our pain, our sorrow, our people, our flags. Define us by our souls, stories, the distance between our truth and yours. And I wanted to share that one in particular because I thought it was just such a nice sentiment, and it feels like it fits the themes of the book itself and what he's trying to do within this book, where it's like, we are this thing, we have been displaced, we are not in our home country or whatever, but that's not what defines us. There's still like these truths and connections that we can find between each other. Like I was saying with the pictures, for me personally, it's like, oh, this looks like where I live, even though it's definitely not. And so like trying to find those connections is obviously really important and all of that. So I wanted to share that one as kind of like, this felt like a good thesis of it. And then to show off just a little bit of the artwork that wasn't photography. A couple of my favorites that were in here as well. Look at these beautiful horses. This was one of my favorites. I saw this and I just wanted to stare at it forever. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I love this style. I love that it's horses. And then I wanted to look at these two as well. Like, there's so much like emotion and feeling in these. Even without like knowing the context, I feel like you can feel a lot of the emotion that would have been behind making these as like a refugee and stuff. And yeah. Anyways, I'm raving over this book. I really want to get my own copy now because I did just get this from the library, but I think this would be a cool one to review and to share with other people and kind of hand out and around and be like, here's another thing that maybe we can think about, finding ways of how to support people who are in this kind of context too. Obviously, sending care kits for refugees and things like that would still be important, but maybe there are other things that we can think of to help support too, help try to inspire our work and things like that too. But yeah, I really love this. I highly recommend it. Please go pick it up and read it. If you can, obviously, find ways to donate or support refugees even within your hometown, because I know that that can happen pretty much anywhere in the world. People can end up. So that's my thoughts on this. I hope you have a great day and do all those fun, cool things that help you to grow and progress and feel the kind of comfort that it seems like the artwork and things that were portrayed in here were trying to do for these refugees as well. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for now. This is the Umlaut Harper signing out.